Is The Sims 4 a pay-to-win game? The obvious answer to that question is yes, but there are some nuances and I wanted to explore them today. I did in fact do a video before where I tested whether or not I thought The Sims 4 base game was good enough without any packs. And the answer to that question was no, it was not very good without any packs installed. The Sims 1 had 7 different expansion packs. The Sims 2 had 8 expansion packs and 10 stuff packs. The Sims 3 had 11 expansion packs, 9 stuff packs, and The Sims 3 store. And The Sims 4 has 15 expansion packs, 12 game packs, 20 stuff packs, and 27 kits. Is that 74 packs for The Sims 4? That's insane. So even back in The Sims 1 days, The Sims 1 was arguably pay to win. The Sims base game, like, it was definitely good for back in the days, but in order to really enjoy the game, you had to get the packs for The Sims 1, especially a pack like Living Large, which basically just added a base game overhaul, making the base game itself feel a little bit more fun and crazy. In the Sims 2 era, that was the first era that we got seasons in the game, and ever since then, having weather is considered pay to win, which we'll go on to a little bit more later. But taking a look back when I was younger and I played The Sims 2 and The Sims 3 specifically, I genuinely don't feel like either of these games were pay to win. In fact, when I played The Sims 2 when I was younger, I actually had no packs for the game ever. For the first 3 to 4 years I played with The Sims 2, I had 0 packs and I just played it with the base game alone, and it was very, very fun. And in fact, The Sims 2 base game has a lot of features that are locked behind packs in The Sims 4, for example, shopping. The Sims 3, of course, introduced the open world, which totally changed the way the base game works, which again made it very replayable. In fact, I own many different Sims 3 expansion packs, but I always played in the same default base game world. I think it's called Sunset Valley. I only ever played with one pack, which was World Adventures, which contained vacation lots in a separate vacation world. So the vanilla game for me was always just base game stuff, and I played it like that for years and it was fine. The Sims 4, on the other hand, it just doesn't feel that way to me. The game feels very empty and hollow, and that's because the base game itself simply doesn't have enough features. Compared to previous Sims games, the Sims 4 base game is the most shallow of them all, which I think contributes to it being, I mean, all of the Sims games are pay to win, but the Sims 4 feels a lot more pay to win than other Sims games. So going back to seasons, did you know in the Sims 2 era, they originally tried to make seasons in the Sims 2 base game, but unfortunately in development they failed. They were unable to make weather work because it was too glitchy. Now, a few years after the Sims 2's base game release, they finally found a way to code in weather into the Sims 2. And instead of making this a free update to the base game, because back then there was no such thing as online free updates, everything was analog, nothing was digital, everything was offline, not online, and there wasn't such a thing as patching a game. Back then, once you've got the game, that's it. It doesn't get patched, it didn't get updated because the internet wasn't that big back then. So naturally they decided to make this whole seasons thing as its own separate DLC. And since then, weather has been considered premium content in The Sims. Another thing I'd like to point out is right now in the Sims 4 base game, we do have the calendar. Even if you don't own seasons, it still functions. But originally this calendar was locked behind seasons, which means the whole concept of time was simply tied to seasons. Without the seasons pack, you would be stuck in an endless summer. Time is completely frozen. And this whole seasons pack concept is what makes The Sims feel truly pay to win, in my opinion. If you look at any other life simulation game, time is in fact not considered premium. Animal Crossing is another life simulation game which uses real world time to reflect the time of day in the game, to reflect different holidays and seasons in the game. In Animal Crossing New Horizons, this even includes different hemispheres, and of course there is different weather in the base game itself. In farming life simulation games like Stardew Valley, weather in seasons is imperative. In The Sims 4, however, it's considered premium to have your Sims live their life across a year rather than the span of a Monday to Sunday week in an endless summer. I'm sure you've probably seen YouTube videos before of people talking about their must-have packs for The Sims Sims 4 and every single person puts the seasons pack at the top of the tier list. Everybody says you must own the Sims 4 seasons. If you have the Sims 4, this is a must pack. If you have any pack for the Sims 4, you have to get seasons. In my opinion, DLC should always be optional. It shouldn't feel like you must have it. But in the case of The Sims, it feels very pay to win in that the base game is only unlocking a small part of the experience. And if you actually want to have like a full-on Sims base game, The Sims 4 Seasons adds to the base game. Another pack that I'm a little bit iffy about is Growing Together. I've always said The Sims 4 Growing Together feels like the base game 2.0. It literally just feels like a big base game update and nothing more. The Sims' biggest problem, in my opinion, is not knowing what's premium and what's not premium. Sims watching TV is free, but watching movies is a premium that requires movie hangout stuff. Having children is free, but raising children is a premium requiring the Parenthood game pack. Eating a pizza is free, but if you want to eat ice cream, then that's a premium feature that requires cool kitchen stuff. Or how about how Halloween is a premium seasonal holiday with trick-or-treating in the seasons pack, but if you want the Halloween costumes themselves, this is a different kind of premium that requires the spooky stuff pack. Or how having infants is free, but changing your infant's diaper is a premium that requires Growing Together. In what world is changing a diaper a premium feature that's locked behind a pack? And then of course we got other updates, for example, like the toddlers update. A lot of newer Simmers don't know this, but in The Sims 4 when it was released, toddlers didn't exist. They came as an update with basically no brand new features. They were horrendous, but in order to actually have things to do with your toddlers, you needed to get the Toddler Day stuff pack. Would you consider basic life stages like infants and toddlers being able to function properly as premium? In a life simulation game that simulates life, apparently changing the diaper of your child is actually very, very premium. Yes, it is. Which leads on to my next point, which is that non-adult life stages, infants, toddlers, children, and teens and elders are very pay to win in my opinion. People often refer to The Sims 4 as a young adult life simulator, and that's because it doesn't really facilitate gameplay for any other life stages. In the base game itself, I would say pretty much 95% of gameplay is built with young adults in mind. Even in the majority of packs too, 90% plus gameplay is revolved around young adults. Something that's always really bothered me about The Sims 4, which was not a problem in any other previous Sims game, is all of the other life stages being pay to win. We've said before with infants, you need Growing Together. Infants basically do nothing in The Sims 4 unless you own the Growing Together pack. Toddlers as well basically do not do anything in this game unless you own the Toddler Stuff pack. Children in the game don't do anything unless you own the Kids Room Stuff pack. Teens require the High School Years pack for teen stuff. Ironically, the Growing Together pack was the pack that was supposed to revolve around family life and every single generation. It's a pack that's supposed to revolve around growing through all the different stages of life and having different things to do for each stage. In reality, the pack didn't really come with that many brand new objects or things to do for non-adults. It came with a tree house and kids' bikes, but that's pretty much it. The pack very much failed in my opinion. And then of course we've got the Parenthood pack, which was supposed to add more family gameplay, although ironically it's family gameplay from the perspective of the parent, in other words the adult, because it's about parenting them, not actually being the child. In order to actually have a family life in the game and to play as the different stages of life, it seems you need a different pack for each of these stages. Would you say that having a family is pay to win in The Sims? Because I would disagree, especially consider that every single life stage has its own different separate pack. It's just insane. But in order to be fair to The Sims 4, there are some aspects that don't feel pay to win. And to start off with, I want to mention that certain DLC does feel optional. The occult packs are an obvious one. Don't tell me that vampires and werewolves belong in a basic life simulation game base game, because they don't. They're very specific. Granted, The Sims 4 has done the very unethical thing of splitting them up into multiple separate packs, which is something that didn't happen in The Sims 3. They are still very much optional. The same could be said for a pack like Discover University or Cottage Living, which revolve around living a very niche specific lifestyle. And then of course we've got the base game editions themselves. A notable one I've mentioned is the calendar, which has been added to the base game, even though it was previously a part of Seasons. The base game has had tons of updates, including some features that used to be pack exclusive coming into the base game, which does help to make it feel a lot less pay to win, especially when the updates revolve around diversity of being able to make different kinds of Sims and not locking too many cultural things behind specific packs. That is something I think The Sims 4 does well, because in my opinion, representation should never feel pay to win, and in The Sims 4, I don't think it does. Another thing is free packs. Very recently, as of recording this video, The Sims 4 Backyard Stuff has become a free pack. Before that pack was free, I would have said no, absolutely don't get it, it's awful, but now it's basically a free base game update. Romantic Garden Stuff was free at one point, so was My First Pet Stuff. Blooming Rooms kit has recently become free. Every time there's a Sims sale on, they seem to be releasing a different stuff pack or kit for free, which I really like, and I do think it makes a game feel a little bit less pay to win, to be nice. But I wouldn't say these things alone make the game feel like it's not pay to win, because it still is. In fact, if The Sims 4 Seasons was basically free, I wouldn't even be making this video. But something else that I feel like can add to The Sims experience is mods. And now The Sims 4, because all of you console players love to call me console player phobic because I play with mods, The Sims 4 is free now on PC. So on your little laptop or your MacBook, you can download The Sims 4 for free, even though you've already paid for it on console, and you can play with mods. So one may argue The Sims 4 is not pay to win if you do have mods. I asked you guys on YouTube if you thought The Sims 4 was enjoyable without mods, and almost 70% of you said that you do need mods to enjoy the game. Sims 4 mods can be gameplay overhauls, but they can also be things like bug fixes. I've played with mods before which add so much more depth than any Sims 4 pack could really provide, and I know for a lot of Simmers, playing with mods is so much more important than actually having packs, especially with the uprising of so much Sims 4 custom content now for Create a Sim and Build mode. You really just don't need packs for these things anymore. And on that note, I will put in the description of this video some of my favorite Sims 4 CCs, so make sure to check that out after this video. And I'm also going to link to some of my favorite mods as well. But one big barrier to this is most definitely pack exclusive mods. In fact, almost every single live career mod for The Sims 4 requires Get to Work. One of my favorite live career mods for The Sims 4 is the daycare mod, which allows you to go to an official daycare and literally work as a daycare teacher. It's very in depth, although this one does require toddler stuff and it requires Get to Work, which is a barrier. A burglar mod that I played with recently kind of requires the full rent pack in order for it to feel fully functional. So not every single mod helps to fill the pay to win void, because some of them are pay to win because you need packs to enjoy them. But for the most part, there are a ton of base game friendly mods, and I think most simmers who do use mods can agree that mods are generally a lot better than packs, especially when you have a lot of them, which makes The Sims 4 feel a lot less pay to win. To give you an example of how mods often do it better than real packs, The Sims 4 fitness stuff came with a rock climbing wall, but it didn't actually really come with any brand new equipment for your Sims gyms. We still only have the base game treadmill and the base game chest press machine, but nothing else. The Flow Fit mod by SimRealist adds a cross trainer here, it adds a rowing machine, and it adds, I don't even know what this is called, the Let's Get Fit mod pack by Sepsid Creation or Kepsid. This one includes dumbbells and barbells and a bicycle. Just by having 2 free Sims 4 mods, these give you a lot more gameplay than Sims 4 stuff pack. So from that perspective, is The Sims 4 pay to win? Absolutely not. It's free to win thanks to mods. So how can we make The Sims 4 feel not pay to win? And my answer to that is kits. You guys think I probably hate kits. I love kits. That's because firstly, they don't break the game because it's just Create a Sim and Build mode stuff. But secondly, they truly feel optional. They genuinely feel very, very optional. And that's simply because they're just aesthetic only. And for me, that's what DLC should feel like in order to make sure that it's not pay to win. So this is an absolute far cry from The Sims 4, but one of my favorite video games I love to play is Valorant. It's a shooting game like Fortnite. The entire game is free. In the store, you have different gun skins. The actual guns themselves are free, but in order to change the aesthetic of the guns, you have to pay for different DLC. Otherwise, you're stuck with the basic black ones. Now, for a gun pack like this Sovereign pack, this costs 7,100 credits. And to get that many credits, it costs you £90, which is about 115 US dollars. £90, $100+ just for some weapon skins. That's a lot of money, a lot more than Sims 4 packs. But do you know what? Players of this game, they don't complain. They rarely ever complain about the prices. And that's because it doesn't feel like you need it. It feels optional. The Sims 4, in comparison, the packs are a lot cheaper and a lot arguably better value for money, but people love to complain about them regardless. Why? And that's because they don't feel optional. They feel pay to win, and people don't like that. And I think that's the biggest issue with the Sims 4 DLC. It's not how much there is. It's not necessarily the price, but it's more so the fact that it feels obligatory. And this is why I love aesthetic things like gun skins or like kits, because it doesn't feel necessary. And DLC that's done right like this, it doesn't have to feel pay to win, nor does The Sims 5 when it eventually releases. The next biggest issue I think The Sims 4 faces is pirate to win over pay to win. In my personal YouTube comment section, I've literally had to block the word pirate. I've had to block other words like an because you guys kept giving each other tips and tricks on how to pirate this game, which I do not condone. I condemn, because pirating is very dishonest and you should not pirate video games. The amount of blocked comments that come through my YouTube comment section of you guys talking about pirating the game, your comments are not being publicized. I'm sorry to break it to you, but they're not. I've had to do the same on TikTok. I've had to ban people from talking about pirating on my videos and filter the comments because so many people are talking about it. Pirating is definitely one of the biggest threats to the video gaming industry. Of course, if people are not buying the game, the developers don't make money, the publishers don't make money, so the game is not sustainable. The more people who buy the game instead of pirating it, the more money the game makes, so the more that they can reuse that money into making the game better or making sequels. The Sims 4 is an incredibly pirated game. Why? In my personal opinion, because the packs are so expensive and the whole game experience feels so pay to win. You need so many packs in order to just have family gameplay that it's too much money, especially in some countries. I know in countries like Brazil, for example, the pack prices are not adjusted for the local economy. So the packs are literally equivalent of, like, I don't know, 1 month's wage. Like, it's literally impossible to buy them, meaning people feel like they have to resort to it. And as I said before, I do not condone pirating. I in fact condemn pirating because it's very bad. And this is why I would say personally EA's pay to win model for The Sims 4 is just not working. If they instead gave us a more reasonable monetization system that didn't feel cash grabby, I feel like more people would be more inclined to buy the game rather than pirate the game. And that's, I feel like, the main goal of any video game developer, to try and get people to actually buy your game instead of pirating it. Because based on my comments, which I filtered out so you can't see them because they're blocked, because as I said, I don't condone pirating, not at all. I've seen so many comments from people saying things like, I literally can't purchase the packs, like I just can't purchase them. So I feel like there's no other way to go about it, which is crazy. People saying they actually want to buy the packs, but they can't. That seems like a very big monetization issue in my personal opinion. In order for the future of The Sims to be a bright future, I truly believe the monetization model needs to change, and it needs to not feel pay to win. It needs to feel reasonably priced, and it needs to feel sustainable. One little bit of positive news is that seasons will actually be coming in The Sims 5 base game when that's released. If you want to know more about that, plus some other information we know about The Sims 5, then make sure to check out this video here. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next one.